This is Trigonometry grade 12 simplifying trigonometric problems part 3. We have cos of 90 degrees minus theta divided by sine of 180 degrees minus theta, and from this we subtract sine squared negative theta. This is a problem whereby we have theta as an unknown angle, and in order for us to check our answer, we need to replace theta by an angle of 30 degrees, and 30 degrees is a special angle, by the way. Cos of 90 degrees minus 30 degrees is divided by sine of 180 degrees minus 30 degrees minus sine of negative 30 degrees squared. We get 3/4. Now the answer that we must get at the end is not going to be 3/4, but it is going to be a trig ratio, or maybe 2, I don't know. But whenever you replace the theta at the end with 30 degrees, you will get this answer. Then you will know that you got your full marks because you got it right. Cos, all trig ratios, sine, tangent, cast. So I know that in the first quadrant I have 90 degrees minus and 360 degrees plus. In the second quadrant I have 90 degrees plus and 180 degrees minus. In the third quadrant I have 180 degrees plus. In the fourth quadrant I have 360 degrees minus. This is something that you need to memorize, because if you prefer to always rewrite this stuff whenever you are simplifying, then you're going to waste a lot of time in the exam room, because you will be trying to remember, is this yeah, blah blah blah. So just memorize these things and memorize with which trig ratio is positive in which quadrant. Then you will be able to use the simplified version of that, just like me. So yeah, let's do it. We have cos of 90 degrees minus. Now 90 degrees minus is the first quadrant and cos is positive, but because this is 90 degrees, cos is going to change into sine. So we will be having sine theta divided by sine of 180 degrees minus. 180 degrees minus is the second quadrant and sine is positive, so we will be having sine theta minus. Now this trig ratio is squared and it is multiplied by a negative angle. Now what do we remember? What have we memorized from the previous video about negative angles and how they affect our trig ratios? So you need to go back to your memory and then remember that sine is actually affected by a negative angle and we get negative sine theta. But don't rush, because this sine is squared. So let's see what happens. I'm going to deal with this on the side. So we have negative into sine of negative theta multiplied by sine of negative theta. This is what I mean when I say you shouldn't rush. Just because you know that sine is affected by a negative angle, you shouldn't rush and say this is going to be positive sine squared theta, because we know that this negative is going to affect our sine and we'll be having negative multiplied by negative as a positive. That would be wrong. Why? Because I'm going to show it to you here. So I expanded sine squared theta. We have negative into, now here sine theta, yes, it is affected by a negative angle, so we get negative sine theta, right? Multiplied by, yes, it is affected by a negative angle, we get negative sine theta. Now negative multiply a negative is a positive, right? So we will have negative into positive sine squared theta, and it gives us negative sine squared theta. What does this mean? It means that whenever you have a squared trig ratio, that is affected by a negative angle, its sign stays the same. The same way that negative sine squared theta into negative theta stayed the same. So we will be having sine theta divided by sine theta minus sine squared theta. You see, if you rushed and said, it's going to be negative sine theta, and then this negative is going to multiply by this negative and you'll get a positive, you were going to get it wrong. So yeah, don't rush, expand, and then simplify. So we have sine theta divided by sine theta, that's 1 minus sine squared theta. Now if you have practiced trigonometry enough, your brain will tell you that this looks familiar, that we have seen this thing before. So where have we seen it? This is the square identity, cos squared theta plus sine squared theta is equal to 1. What would happen if we transpose sine squared theta to this side? We will get cos squared theta is equal to 1 minus sine squared theta. This is what we have here. So this is equal to cos squared theta. Now this is our simplification. This is our final answer. But we need to check whether or not it is correct. But in order for us to do that, we need to replace this theta by 30 degrees in our calculator. So we have cos of 30 degrees squared. So this means we got it right. So there's no way you can get a 0 when dealing with simplifying trigonometric problems. So yeah, thank you for watching.
It's easy to see when you look at me. If you look closely, Mystic don't back down. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, so that you can get that A in mathematics. Leave a comment down below if you have a question. Mystic will make sure you get the answer.
Leave a like and share this video with your friends so that we can all be good.
Thank you for watching.